What's going on out there, good people? It is your boy Look Around with LMD Trading, coming at you today with another daily trade review. Today was a slow, let's just keep it in the green type day today. Markets did what the market's been doing lately, just kind of chopped around, and we ended up finding a trade on BP, which was a call play. Just would not work. Just kind of took its time. And then we also traded AMD today. We had AMD back on the watch list. So let's go ahead. Let's get the watch list pulled up. And let's see what we were looking at today. As stated, we had AMD, we had BP. Those were our two, and actually Microsoft as well. Those were our option play ideas along with the market. And then we had these three stocks here that we were looking at for stock trades. VRM, which we did get a trade on. VERU, which we see just sold off. Came down to the previous day's highs and just did nothing. And then we had CYN, which has just been a carryover for the past few days, and we see that it's sold off as well. So no plays on either one of those. Did get a good trade on VRM. No trades on Microsoft. We see Microsoft finally broke below previous days low around noon, and it finally made like a $5 move down by the time the market finally closed. And AMD, we got a trade once it got above previous day's high. And then BP, we got a trade off of this one here in the open. So let's go ahead, take a peek at TRADERVUE. We're reviewing trades for May 11th, Wednesday. We took 3 trades. All 3 of these were green trades, but small base hit single type trades. Nothing spectacular, just enough to trade again tomorrow without having a red day. So that's pretty much what we did today. And let's go ahead, get the charts pulled up. And I did record my trading again today. I just did not have time to kind of go through and try to put something together. So I need to work on that. I'll be working on that probably over the weekend to be able to kind of package it and put a nice little video together where I can show some little snippets of me actually getting in a trade and kind of watching it play out as we did yesterday. Being just one trade yesterday, it was fairly easy for me to kind of do that. But let's go ahead. Let's get the particulars for these trades that we took today. And we'll be getting out of here. We took this at 9:37. So this one was somewhat, like I said, right off the open. So let's go ahead, get these candles set right. And on BP, we see that it had gapped up this morning over the previous days. Why did we do that? There we go. Over the previous day's high, which was down here. Pretty good size gap, but look at the monetary size of it. It was like a 30-cent gap. BP's ATR, the average trading range, is only $1 a day. This is not really a stock that I should have been taking a options play on, because it does not provide the movement that I like to see. And we'll somewhat see how that played out during this trade. So let's go ahead. Let's get the 1 minute over here where it needs to be at so that I can find my entry points. And we'll see what we were looking at. So this one here, we got in at 9:37. And we held on to this puppy for a long time. So we got in this trade 937. So we see it had opened, gapped up pretty good. And we got in as it broke the high of this candle. So we got a good entry on this trade. And up around here, I want to say that we probably were in the green on this trade about $30. And we took 4 contracts on this. We took 4 contracts and we paid $36 per contract. So we were up about 30 bucks. We was up about 10%, which was decent money. We were in the green 10% on this trade, but because this trade just did not have that kind of room in it, it never gave us the profits that we were expecting to see. It came up to this area here that we had on the chart. It busted through it, came up, and it could not get past this area right here that we had marked on the chart. And it set this high right here. Probably should have got out over here. Probably should have been looking to get out over here, but we ended up standing this one until 1046. So let's see where 1046 is at. We sold 3 of the contracts. 1046 right there. Pretty much right where I said I should have got out the first time. Should have been getting out right there the first time. So that's what we got out of the first 3 contracts. And then we got rid of the last contract, which initially I was going to hold. I was going to possibly do a end of day hold on this last contract. And I'm glad I didn't. And the reason I say that I was going to hold it, 2 things. Let's come over here where the call's at. This was a May 20 call. May 20 call. So we had some time on it. But when I looked at the daily chart was just ugly. Let's pull it up real quick. So this is the daily chart for BP. Absolutely ugly. Ugly. You can almost say fugly. It had no sense of direction, just constant gaps all over the place. So I was like, no, I do not want to hold this option contract. So ended up selling it. So if we look at the big picture, we got in right there. This thing never really popped. It just kind of channel traded, somewhat rising along the VWAP. So we got out basically flat on this trade. Like I said, we bought them for $36 each. We sold 3 of them for $37. So we made like $1 each off of those. And then the last one we sold for $35, taking $1 loss. So overall, we made $2 on the trade. So that's a flat trade when you look at the fees of buying the contracts. It's pretty much a flat trade. And that was our first trade of the morning. And then we traded AMD. And we see that AMD had gapped down a little bit and pulled back and then made this nice move, broke back above previous days high, pulled back and just traded right along it, pulled back down the VWAP, and then it made this move back above it. And let's see when we got in our first one. So first trade we got in at 1017. 1017. Let's see what we were seeing at 1017 that made us want to take a trade. So didn't click it. Let's try it again. There we go. So again, it opened, pulled back, made this nice move back above it. Now we want to see a pullback and a confirm. So we got the pullback and then it just chopped around and then it pulled back a little bit more, but it caught support at VWAP, and then it made the move. So we got in right there, 2 contracts, paid $113 for those contracts. And then we got out of this trade at 1025. Let's see where 1025 is. So right there on this candle right here, right as it was pretty much consolidating. And we see that's what it did. It just consolidated over, and then it made this move again. And we sold these for $125. Got out one of them for $125. Got out the next one for $124. So we made $23 on this trade. So basically 1 R. And I always say, look to the left. If we look to the left, we see that was going to be our first area. That's going to be our first target. So when this came up to the first target and it didn't bust through it, let's just get out. Let's secure that. Let's secure those gains. And then we'll look for another area to get back in. And that's something that I am having to learn to do. Make sure I look to the left, see what's over there. We could have dropped a line right there so that we would have known that this was going to come up and bump into resistance. But just as easy, we could just peek over there, say, okay, today's chart is telling us that we're going to run into some resistance. That's exactly what it did. So good entry, and definitely a good exit. We could have let this ride on out, but we could have also took the chance on it failing and coming back down. So like I say, I'm happy with that trade. That was a good, solid trade. And in this market, what I am learning is that we just have to take what the market is giving. So this was a trade where I just took what the market was giving. And then just look for another opportunity. We ended up getting that opportunity at 1026. So let's see what we saw at 1026 that made us get in a trade. So we got in not much long after we got out of that one. 2 contracts. So we're back in 2 contracts. And we got out of this one at 1038. Let's see where we got out at 1038. We didn't quite ride it all the way up to the high of the day, but got a nice move out of it. So we're going to buy 2 contracts there. We're setting our stop down below all of this junk. Going to give it room. So we see that never came nowhere near down in this area where we would have been needing to have our stop at. And we got out right there as it was forming this bottom tail. And we were also watching the SPY, or the Qs, while this was playing out. So while this was doing this, we were also watching the Qs. So let's pull the Qs up just to see what the chart looks like around that time. Let's see. See if the Qs was showing us a reason to be getting out. So if you look at the upper right chart, the little blue chart, that's that time frame. So we see this little red candle was forming. We had this top and tail right here, which is a sign of selling pressure. Had this little red candle right there. So we were like, let's go ahead again. Let's take what the trade is giving us. We see selling pressure even on this candle here. So let's go ahead. Let's get out of that trade. We bought these contracts for 135. We sold them for 146. So made 22 bucks on the trade. Nothing spectacular. But it was a green trade nonetheless. And like I said, I'm sure based on what's that, 270 bucks that we were in the trade for, sold it for 22. So made a little less than 10%. No bank is paying 10%. No bank is paying 5%. American Express used to, but figure 8-9% on your money in 12 minutes. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. And that was it. We kind of sat around the rest of the morning trying to find some more ideas. We had missed an actual stock trade. Let's pull that one up real quick. That was going to be on Redbox. This one, nowhere on my radar at all. But I heard in Relentless Traders chat room, people had started talking about it. And look at this thing. It had gapped way down. Previous day, it closed at $5. This thing had gapped all the way down to $2.80. So nowhere's near on my radar to even be trying to have it on there to look at. But we see that it made this nice move. Had I been watching it, this here would have been an area for me to want to take a trade there. What's that, $4? Putting the stop down there around 351. So a 50-cent stop. I would have had a 50-cent stop on this. So 2-to-1, I need this to go $1. This thing was at $4. I would have needed it to go to $5. It went $5 with no problems. Clean move. That's 2-to-1 on my money. That would have been a good trade. Get in when you break this candle, set the stop down here, and just let it go. Trying to get it right here as it breaks this candle is a little aggressive because you know you're going to run into this resistance. So I would have wanted to get in when it broke all of this. So that's $4. Down there is $3.50. It's a 50-cent stop. So if I'm going to risk, let's say I'm going to risk $50 on a 50 cents stop loss, then I need to buy 100 shares. So that trade would have cost me $400 and I would have made $100 2-to-1. And that's how I take my stock trades. My stock trades are based on the same exact patterns that I am going to take a option trade on, with calculated risk. Every trade that I take, my risk is known. I'm going to see where the entry, I'm going to see where my stop, do the math. It's 50 cents. Now it just depends on what my risk is. So on options, I'm risking 25. On my stock trades, I'm usually risking $50. So I'm gonna risk 50 to make 100. We see that this one clearly made the $100. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. And had I stayed in it, it would have halted going up. And look where it halted through. It busted straight through previous day's low, halted up almost at the 50 moving average. It came out of the halt, broke over previous day's high, kind of spiked up, and then it sold back off right to where? To almost the penny, the previous day's low, came back, broke back above it, traded right along that low. And like I tell y'all, I love having this red and this green line on my charts. It makes it so much easier for me to see where these areas are at. Like I said, my goal is to not trade inside of this unless they're clean gap fill areas where I could take a trade and it's a gap in between, or a big wide range candle like this. where I can kind of trade in between it. But even trading this one, it's kind of hard trading those wide ranges. So I prefer to take trades like this. Once it's below it, once you get this flag breaking down, this nice little flag breaking down, those are the trades I'm looking to take. So like this one, if this was an option play, let's just say this was an option play. I'm going to get in when it breaks this. I'm going to put the stop right there, and that's money. Knowing this is going to be my first area. Actually, here going to be the first target area that you might run into some trouble. Second one is going to be the VWAP. And that's how I think out my stock trades. Solely pattern based. I don't really trade momentum. I usually just trade the patterns. If I see a pattern that's going to work, even right here, this kind of consolidated. And then we got this nice wide range, little resting candle. It's a decent little 3-bar play, but it's not the start of a move. And looks what happens. It trigger you in, the next candle stops you out. That's because it wasn't the first or second candle of the move. It had some work over here. So you'd already built up a little selling pressure in there. So you get a nice wide range. You get a nice resting candle, kind of peekabooed a little over it, triggers you in, next candle comes back, stops you out, and then it goes. And now you're sitting there pissed. Good trade. Get in off the high of this. Set the stop back down here at the VWAP. It's a bigger stop, but you're good. That was money. 50-cent stop, and you easily made $1 off the trade with a whole nother dollar coming in, or 50 cent coming in on this halt going up. Wouldn't have wanted to set through that one though. I would have been a little worried. Plus, this would have been like, I need to get out before it gets up to there because it may reject it. But that is going to wrap this one up. Went a little over how long I thought I would be, but hopefully got a little information out of that one. I was fooling around with my desk and I got my camera out of place, so that's why it has you looking over my shoulder today as we do this review. But hope you enjoyed it. If so, please hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, please think about subscribing. If you do subscribe, hit that notification bell and select all. That way you'll be notified. And on that note, we're going to wrap this one up. Look at you. Peace.